Myth about the home maintenance.
But first, let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our Finland podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Honestly, call text all the time at 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Do not be shy. Also, grab our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below. So this video is super important for me because here's the thing. If you're looking on the low end, you're like, all I can afford is low end, like the cheapest house. And you're like, oh, I can handle all these maintenance fixes by yourself. That's very, very expensive, and you probably should be looking at more move-in ready homes, and they do show up in your budget. They just take longer to show up if it's a thing, but fixing a home can be expensive if it has a lot of big ticket items. On the other side, if the home doesn't have a lot of big ticket items, you do not have to be so afraid that you cannot afford all the maintenance of a home, because you have chosen wisely to where there shouldn't be crazy maintenance fees as well. So let's going to dive into the numbers to really kind of understand that, no?
Yeah, generally, nationally, they say that 1% of the purchase price of the home is going to be your annual home maintenance, meaning that if you purchasing a $200,000 in our local market, Greenville, North Carolina, you're looking at a $2,000 per year home maintenance.
Right, so you should be putting $2,000 away, like 1% of whatever you have paid for that house, in order to cover expenses. That way, when the big ticket items do show up, you are covered. Now, what about how much do homeowners typically spend?
Basically, in average, it could be from California in the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. They say $13,150.
This includes utilities, though, and let me tell you, when we lived in Pennsylvania, our utility bills were like $600 to $650 a month.
$650 a month.
Right. Whereas we live here in Greenville, it's $200 a month. What is 200 times 12? $2,400. What is $600 times 12?
That's going to be like over $7,000.
So right there, just on utilities. Now, if you're a renter, you're still paying utilities. So this number is part of that as well. So I just kind of wanted to point that out to you. And then also, depending on the choice of the home, all of the other stuff will pop in as well.
And then they say, according to a statistic, 48% of Americans underestimate this cost, and 20% expect
29%.
29 that expect that to be under $5,000 annually.
Right.
And as my wife said, the utility
alone
actually.
Utility alone is there. And then also mowing the lawn, how much your stuff is. But at the end of the day, and improvements. Like, I want to put new floors in my home. That doesn't mean that I have to put new floors in my home. I want to put new floors in the home. So that kind of thing that I would want to do is also included in that number that we were talking about above.
The third things that we wanted to talk about is really awareness of the home ownership cost, because only 14% of the American, they're aware of the true annual cost of the home ownership.
So homeowners and non-homeowners have these similar misconceptions on pricing. So that's interesting as well, right? So now let's talk about home inspections, because we as real estate agents always recommend them.
Exactly. Basically, one of the things we say that do the home inspection, one of the things is identifying the potential maintenance costs that you might face in the future. No?
Yes. 33% of Americans, though, believe that we are wasting your money and that inspections are completely unnecessary because you know exactly what you're looking for. However, I can tell you I do not go in crawl spaces, and you probably didn't go in the crawl space. And even if you do go in the crawl space, what are you looking for can be a question as well.
Exactly. Therefore, the next things we wanted to talk about, the home warranties and basically their limitation. Mm-hmm. And home warranties may not cover all of the repair costs that you're looking for.
Right, but yet 37% of all Americans believe I've got a warranty, I'm good, and it will cover everything that I need.
And the next thing that we wanted to talk basically is the financial impact of the misunderstanding the home maintenance costs, what they are.
Okay, so 20% of former homeowners freaked out when they saw their high maintenance costs, and that is why they sold their home. So we don't want you to be in that number. We want you to have a true understanding that, you have to pay your utilities and all of these other things when you come to a home. Also, if you say I'm going to put a fence on an acre of land, that's going to cost a lot of money. So understand that just because you're buying new and you bought a house with an acre, then we're talking $50,000, $60,000 to put a fence around it because you will have an acre, right? So I'm just giving you an example. So don't miscalculate these things.
Therefore, 9% of the homeowners really, they felt that they were not properly informed about the home ownership cost before purchasing a property.
Which is why I'm saying if you're going to get a fence or anything like that, what you should do, get a quote. Get quotes. We can do that during the home buying process. And then also 20% of former homeowners prefer renting simply because of home maintenance miscalculations. So this is the number why we're talking about it and why we should not be afraid of it and understand what we're talking about here and make choices based on numbers.
Exactly. And it's still, there is a misconception about down payment. We said it in many videos and podcasts. And here we are, 20%. How many percent of people they believe about 20%?
20% is a common recommendation people will just throw around, and that includes homeowners. 56% of homeowners still think you need 20% down. Homeowners are in a better situation, so they believe that because they have a home, so they're probably going to get some equity on their home, and they're just going to roll that equity into the next home. So they're thinking payments are going to be lower as well. Whereas 72% of non-homeowners hear homeowners talking about that and believe it is mandatory when it is not mandatory on those loans. And
21% of Americans really, they think they need more than 20% even down payment, which is really high.
All right, 66%, I'm sorry, 6, not 60. 6% believe 30% is a norm, which is crazy compared with non-homeowners. 8% are twice as likely to believe this than regular homeowners.
And what is the reality? The reality, as my wife said, 3.5% for the FHA conventional, depends on your lender. It could be 3 to 5%. And if you are talking about the VA loan or USDA loan, that is 100% financed by the lender.
Now, if you want a conventional loan where fees go away over time, which many people do, you're still looking at 5%. You're not looking at 20.
Now, we wanted to talk about the reality of the private mortgage insurance,
PMI.
Or you heard it as a PMI. No?
And then it's called a little different on FHA loan. It's called, I'm blanking. I'll think of it in a minute. Okay. 85% of Americans do not understand what PMI is, and they try to avoid it at all costs. And about 23%...
They believe that PMI is a protection for the home buyers, which is not true. Actually, it's a protection for the lender.
To lend to you. 17% of homeowners and 11% of non-homeowners correctly identify that PMI is what the lender is charging you in order to fund that loan and take a risk, take a chance on you. Now with conventional, if you do choose conventional, which I said 5%, PMI, once you get 20% of the home value, should go away on its own without refinancing the loan, which is why a lot of people will choose conventional because they understand that will eventually go away, but you do not need 20% for that.
Now, saying all about this down payment brings us to down payment assistance program, which many of the home buyers depend on your local market or a state that you're living. They offer grants for affording for the down payment of the first-time home buyers.
Right. Now, when you're buying a home, 27% of homeowners have thought about these programs, but what's the reality?
What's the reality? 52% of them just considering have utilized this program.
Right, so less people have thought about it and more people use it because lenders understand the program very, very well. So even if you think you don't qualify for anything, you didn't look it up, if you do qualify, the lender is generally going to try to get you some free money and try to put you in that program. We've seen it time and time again.
Yes. And the next thing is the perception about the down payment challenge, which is we wanted to talk about what they are.
23% of non-homeowners see the down payment as the problem of why they're not buying a home. It is the obstacle that they're facing and why they don't even shop for a home. 23%, that's 1/4 of America almost saying that I can't afford a down payment. Whereas what about?
But only 8% of the homeowners really they saw it as the most significant challenge during the home buying process. Just 8%.
And again, I'm going to remind you of homeowners, when you sell your own home and then you buy a new home, you're going to use all the equity from that old home, put it towards the new home, so that is going to be a considerable down payment that you put down. So when you're looking to upgrade, you have more money than you think you do when you're selling to buy.
Now we wanted to talk about negotiating a myth and reality is what they are.
Okay, so 6% of all non-homeowners believe that negotiations are the toughest part. I mean, you should be hanging with me. I'm a real estate agent. That's my job all day, every day. But 6% believe that this is going to be the hardest part. What's the misconception though?
A misconception around the negotiation, basically 65% of the non-homeowners, they believe they directly communicate with the sellers, which is a big mistake.
No. So what happens is you talk to your agent, I talk to their agent talks to their seller. So there's people in between, and it's best there. And 48% will assume that the highest offer will always win, which is not always true. You go with the best offer, not the highest necessarily.
Exactly. And at the end, 75% they believe buyers should always offer below their maximum budget, which is another misconception.
Right. So if you can afford a $500,000 home and you want to stick to $200,000 home, you can, that's fine, but understand that you're not going to get all the amenities of a $500,000 home when you're buying a $200,000 home.
Exactly.
So when you're looking at a significant issue with budget, we'll buy whatever you want, I don't care, but the question is that really what you want? Because if you have $500,000 taste and you can afford $500,000, then why are we looking at $200,000? Because it's a waste of my time and a waste of your time because you hate them all.
Exactly. We wanted to conclude all of things and basically highlight the importance of the proper education and guidance during the home buying journey. That's why we are here every time to talk about all this home
and
buying
why
process.
We have guides in our description. We're not just putting that for fun. We took our time, we wrote it out so you would have information at your fingertips that you can look at. So don't forget to grab them.
And don't forget to call us. We are here. If you're in the state of North Carolina or out, call us at 252-327-3357. We are here. And don't forget to subscribe in our channel to support our channel. Talk to you soon.